You said to Ted Koppel last night, a man who changes his principles depending on with whom he is dealing is not a man who can lead a nation. The context was this: what principle are you being asked to change, you, Mr. Mandela, when Americans question your praise for the human rights under Gaddafi and Castro? What is the principle involved there that you're being asked to change?
Mr. McNeil, this is a matter which should not be handled lightly, as many people do. The first country which we approached in the 60s for assistance when our leaders had to leave the country in order to mobilize the support of the international community. The first country we approached was the United States of America. We could not even succeed to come close to the government, and they refused to assist us. But Cuba, the moment we appealed for assistance, they were ready to do so, and they did so. Why would we now listen to the Western world when they say we should have nothing to do with Cuba? It's just unreasonable. No human being acts in that particular fashion. Here is the country that was the first to assist us when the West, which had formidable resources, was actually supporting the government. Now you expect us to change our whole approach and to start condemning Cuba for what is supposed to be happening inside the country. No man of principles could ever do that. And that is what I try to convey to Koppel.
There is a lie at the heart of our nation. A lie so deeply woven into our history that we barely question it anymore. It is the lie that the ANC's ideology, its unwavering allegiance to old communist allies, and its fixation on global grandstanding are the result of a principled, chosen path. Today, we expose that lie. What has been sold to you as ideological conviction is nothing more than an ancient wound, a historical accident from the 1960s that has become a national curse. And while our leaders nurse that old grudge, performing their solidarity on the world stage, they have abandoned the very country they swore to serve. This is not governance, it is a betrayal. And the evidence of that betrayal is carved into the crumbling asphalt of every road you dodge, echoed in the silence of every factory that's closed, and written on the faces of 8.1 million South Africans who wake up with no job to go to. Let's go back to the beginning, to the moment this curse was cast. In the early 1960s, the ANC members were desperate. The Sharpeville massacre had happened, their organizations were banned, and they faced a monstrous apartheid regime. They made a logical, desperate choice. They turned to the United States, the great champion of democracy, and asked for help to fight apartheid. The answer was a cold, hard no. The US saw the apartheid state as a useful anti-communist ally, a source of uranium, a strategic partner. The struggle for freedom was weighed against Cold War politics and found insignificant. So, with nowhere else to turn, they knocked on another door, Fidel Castro's Cuba, and that door swung wide open. With training, with weapons, with blood spilled later at battles like Quito Cuanavale. In that moment of profound betrayal by the West and salvation by the Socialist Bloc, the DNA of the ANC was permanently altered. It was not an embrace of communist theory after deep study, it was the desperate grasp of a drowning man for the only lifeline thrown. This created a debt, a loyalty that became sacred, and a worldview forged in the fire of that betrayal. My enemy's enemy is my friend. This is the accidental ideology, the politics of the grudge that the ANC brought into power in 1994. And this is where the great swindle began. Instead of building a nation, the ANC became a prisoner of its past. Its soul remained in exile, forever seeking validation from its old saviors. While South Africa needed bridges, they built monuments to foreign revolutions. While our people needed jobs, they crafted a foreign policy of performative anti-imperialism, cozying up to regimes in Moscow and Tehran, and lecturing the West on morality from a position of staggering domestic failure. They have been caretakers of a 60-year-old grievance, not architects of a future. And what is the cost of this never-ending ideological theatre? Look around you. The bill has come due, and every single South African is paying it. Let's start with the most fundamental betrayal, our economy. We are not a poor country, we are a plundered country. Our national debt has exploded to a staggering 76.9% of GDP, a millstone around the neck of our children and grandchildren. And for what? What do we have to show for this mountain of debt? An unemployment rate that is a global scandal. Officially, it sits at 31.9%. Officially, that means 8.1 million of our neighbors, our family members, our graduates cannot find work. But the real figure, when you include those who have given up all hope, is a soul-crushing 42.4%. Nearly half of our potential workforce is idle. And for our youth, it is a catastrophe. 58.5% of young people between 15 and 24 cannot find work. We have created a generation of ghosts. This is not an act of God. This is the direct result of a state that prioritizes political loyalty over competence, cadre deployment over skill, and looting over investment. The very foundations of a functioning economy have been sold for scrap. Take Eskom. For over a decade, load shedding was the symbol of our collapse, a deliberate, planned destruction of our own power. Billions were siphoned off through corrupt coal contracts, inflated tenders, and outright theft, while the plants rusted. We all remember the darkness. Recently, they have touted a recovery, over 230 days without load shedding, they say, and while any relief is welcome, we must ask at what cost and for how long? This stability comes after untold billions were wasted on cripplingly expensive diesel generators for years, a band-aid solution for a hemorrhaging wound caused by looting. And let us not forget the brazen corruption that caused the crisis. Just months ago, a supplier was sentenced for a fraud scheme at Tutuka Power Station, where a single container worth 60,000 rand was invoiced to Eskom for a scheme totaling 2.6 million rand. This was not an anomaly, it was the business model. The lights may be on for now, but the financial and moral debt incurred to get here will haunt us for generations. Then there is our last line of national defense, the South African National Defense Force. What has been done to our military is nothing short of treason. It has been systematically defunded and gutted. Its budget is a pathetic 0.6095% of GDP, a death sentence by spreadsheet. The 2015 Defense Review, its plan for survival, was never funded. The result? A hollow force. The average soldier is 39 years old. The average reservist is 49. Our equipment is antique, rusting in hangars and dry docks. A parliamentary review warns the SANDF is collapsing, funding a bloated headquarters while its combat units starve. This neglect became a national disgrace in the Democratic Republic of Congo. In early 2025, we sent our sons into a combat zone unprepared. 14 were killed. Images circulated of our soldiers in retreat. Deputy Minister Bantu Holomisa admitted the mission had to be scrapped 9 months early. We sent them to die with obsolete gear and no clear plan, a sacrifice to a foreign policy whim. But here is the ultimate insult, the clearest picture of the rot. While soldiers lack boots and ships rust, the luxury continues at the top. In a single year, the Minister of Defence and her deputies spent over 20 million rands on travel, 1.7 million rands a month. They fly business class across the world. And in perhaps the most grotesque snapshot of all, in July 2025, 34 million rands was blown on a single charter flight to Cuba for a graduation ceremony. 25 generals flew business class, enjoying gourmet catering while the submarines they command sit idle in Simon's Town. This is not just corruption, it is a spiritual sickness. It is the ideology of the accident in its final decadent stage, performative loyalty to a foreign ally deemed more important than the lives and dignity of our own serving personnel. The decay is universal. It's in our education system, where over 925,000 children are not in school, a lost generation before they even begin. It's in our healthcare, where the life expectancy, though improved, still tells a story of deep inequality. It is in the water that doesn't flow from taps in Gauteng, and in the raw sewage that floods the streets of Nelson Mandela Bay. This is the South Africa of the accidental ideology, a nation held hostage by a 60-year-old grudge, governed by a party that is more comfortable on the international stage than in a township hall. They will spend 34 million rands on a party flight to Cuba, but cannot fix a single school in Limpopo. They will send soldiers to die in Congo without a plan, but cannot protect citizens on the N2. They will lecture the world on human rights, while 925,000 of their own children are not in a classroom. We have confused loyalty for strategy and solidarity for governance. The bill for that confusion is presented to us every single day, in the unemployment line, in the darkness, in the fear, and in the quiet desperation of millions who have been forgotten. This ends when we demand that our leaders stop being full-time historians of their own struggle and start being part-time builders of our common future. It ends when we insist that the primary loyalty of the South African government must be to South Africans, all of them, not to the memory of Cold War alliances, but to the child who needs a teacher, the graduate who needs a job, the community that needs clean water, and the nation that needs a competent, accountable state. The fight to end apartheid was won over 30 years ago. Yet the struggle to build a prosperous, functioning nation has not even begun. Instead, we watch in despair as the very so-called liberators who once promised freedom now preside over its systematic blundering. The looting continues, the lights flicker, the jobs vanish, and the dream decays day by day. So we are left with the most urgent, unanswered question of our time. How do we surgically separate South Africa from the toxic, accidental ideologies of the ANC? How do we excise this historical grievance that masquerades as governance and reclaim a future built on service, not slogans? The answer starts here. Comment below. Let's turn this section into a manifesto for a new South Africa which shall be free of these crippling, accidental ideologies nonsense. I'm waiting to read your comments.